Pastor Ed here with my 5 for 5 daily devotions for Wednesday, November the 23rd, 2022. Looking at the passage in Luke, that was our gospel reading this past Sunday. Yesterday we dealt with the first part about being ready, about being prepared. And then in the second half, Jesus tells another parable about the faithful and the unfaithful servants or managers. They were kind of servants who had some responsibility in the household over the lower servants or slaves. But I'm going to skip all the way to the bottom, and then we kind of work our way back and talk about the rest of it. But the second half of the final verse was something that I really focused on in my sermon on Sunday, where Jesus said, "From everyone to whom much has been given, much will be required. And from the one to whom much has been entrusted, even more will be demanded." We're going to see how that sentiment has been expressed by a lot of people, slightly different ways over the years. But the one that came to mind was the concept of I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, noblesse oblige, which is French that literally means nobility obliges. It was the language of the at a time when French was the language of the English nobility, and it had this idea that the nobility had responsibilities beyond just entitlement, that it required people who held such status to fulfill certain responsibilities, and so it could include generosity to the person, those around him. The Oxford English Dictionary even defines it as privilege entails responsibility. So it implies that wealth and power and prestige come with certain responsibilities, and that's even true to this day, even though we don't have nobility. There's this sense in which those who are well off, those who have enjoy a lot of especially material and financial success, have responsibility to think for others or to care for others. So it reminded me about the story of one of the heroes, I guess, when I was growing up, Teddy Roosevelt. Probably remember him. Teddy Roosevelt was a president. He was the 26th president of the United States from 1901 to 1909. He was a lot of things during his lifetime: a politician, a statesman, soldier, conservationist, naturalist, historian, writer. I think when he became president, he was the youngest person, and still remains the youngest person to become president of the United States. He really championed causes that called for fairness to everyone. He broke up the trusts and regulated the railroads and food and drug industry. He prioritized conservation and established national parks. In foreign policy, he began construction of the Panama Canal. He expanded our Navy. He brokered the end of the Russo-Japanese War that won him the 1906 Nobel Peace Prize. He was born again into some wealth and so forth. His mother was a socialite. His father was a businessman and philanthropist. Early in life, he had poor health and debilitating asthma, and was homeschooled by his parents for the most part. But he began to, as he grew up and he became an avid outdoorsman and hiking and so forth, he really regained kind of physical health and vigor, and served as Assistant Secretary of the Navy during the Spanish-American War. He resigned that, became a colonel in the so-called Rough Riders, and led the famous charge up San Juan Hill, and actually in 2001 was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. He went on to become governor of New York, and of course ultimately president. But what really caught my eye, what I remembered, was that I didn't know the details, but when his father died, again, he's born into some prominence, a prominent family, and so forth. After his father's death, it said that he inherited $65,000. That would be about 1.8 million today, which basically was enough wealth on which he could have lived comfortably for the rest of his life, and he chose not to. He chose the great fortune that he had in life as giving him a responsibility to do something with it, to do something significant with his life. From everyone to whom much has been given, much will be required. From the one to whom much has been entrusted, even more will be demanded. And all of us, not all of us, are born into wealth or prominence, but those words are true for all of us. Whatever it is that we received, whatever we've been given. Again, it goes back to, we've been talking about multiple times, Abraham, blessed to be a blessing. There's a responsibility to take the gifts that we've been blessed with and to use them, to share them, particularly to further God's kingdom. Well, on that thought, we'll end for today, and we'll kind of pick this up again as we finish out the week. Until then, take care. Bye.